Welcome to Moksa Workflow Manager training movies. In this fourth example, we are going to talk about the workflow collection basket. Every workflow has his own workflow collection basket. That means that the collection basket that you know from sites is unique to one workflow. In a workflow, records are added and are approved, and to be able to keep those records without forcing, for instance, an approval on them, maybe they were approved in the step before, you can move them with a task to the workflow collection. In the workflow collection, you can also upload. And at the end of a workflow, you might want to gather all files used in the workflow to create the collection from this workflow. So at that point, you will be able to move these records back into the workflow so they can be used to create a collection basket. This is what we are going to do in this example. You remember in training movie 3 that we created a workflow with 2 swim lanes or user lists. And in the first task, there was a commission task where a designer was asked to create a new flyer. This new flyer is sent on to the marketing, and marketing at that point can approve that flyer. Now, in the portal of this task, it could very well be that the person who starts the workflow, that this person provides maybe, let's say, images to use in the task, to use for that design. In that case, or in this example, these files would go from this, would go to this task and then just disappear. That can be an option, but maybe at the end of the process, you want to keep the original used images together with an approved design. Another example could be that in this workflow, first a low resolution PDF is approved, and then after the printer created a high resolution version, a high resolution print, it could be that that too has to be approved, in which case you could keep the approved workflow, PDF, low resolution PDF in the workflow basket. So let's do this. I want to keep this workflow, so I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to say duplicate this template workflow category, and here it is, and I'm going to give it a new name. I'm going to see 3, and this is workflow collection. And when I open this workflow collection, I'm not going to start from scratch. I'm going to load the tasks from my second training example. Load. It's loading the tasks, and now I have a copy of this task. So I can quickly jump in and now add my new task. I'm saying here record to workflow collection, move provided to collection, create. So from this commission task, I'm getting a new outlet, which are the provided. The provided means those records that were provided in the task before. The task before this task was the portal. where it was kicked off. So the next task here will be the provided will go to the collection basket. Now, at the end of this workflow, as I said before, I want these same files to be together in one collection basket. So I select the swim lane, and in this swim lane, I'm going to add a new task. The new task being workflow collection to records. So I'm going to say move collection to records. This new task, and from this task I'm taking the outlet no records. I don't have any records, or I don't want to send any records to this task, but what I do want to do with this task is from this task I want to say that the collection records, I want them to go to that task. So now the provided files from this workflow in the portal go to the commission task. The commission task, the person uses those files, can download the files, and then these provided files are sent over to the collection basket, and after they were moved to the collection basket, they will be moved to the create collection task as soon as the marketing person has approved the file. So this is an example on how to personalize that, how to make it possible for these files to still continue to live inside your workflow and not lose them at an approval task. In a previous example, we explained how you can use placeholders in your fields of a workflow. In this example, we used workflow instructions. These kind of placeholders are the placeholders in that are created at the start of the workflow and that are filled into these fields at the start of the workflow. Now, there are also workflow placeholders that are put into the task at the moment of their execution. So as you saw in this task, we have percentage link percentage. This is a link that is replaced by the link at the very moment that this task is started. So you can use placeholders in the email subject, and you can use placeholders in the email body. All of these placeholders that pop up on screen can be used, but that might be kind of difficult to read them. So I've put them here in a list, and as an example, I can add the record names in, for instance, which is the name of all records that come into this task. So if I go to my task again, I can add this and I can say records in provided. Just like that. And I can click on save, and then he will use. I can use another one. I can use the admins. So we have several users in a task, so I can select those and put that too in the task. So if I go here, I can dear participant, I can put here the users. I could say, and the user would be, instead of saying dear participant, you could say dear, and that should output his name. So you could say m.spacehub, like that. But you can also say the admin of this task. In this case, we haven't set one, so we can set one in a few moments. and you can you can get access to the workflow admin. That way you could add a comment to the mail saying something like, if you have any questions, feel free to contact, and then you get the name of that specific person that you can contact. So in this case, I can set a task administrator. Maybe I'm setting, for instance, Erwin as task administrator. That's how simple it is to add these placeholders to the body of your mail. In the next movie, we will execute this workflow, giving you a good view on how these different steps interact with the workflow collection. Thank you for joining, and see you later.